On May 10th, 2012, Film Courage attended a press roundtable interview with Andie MacDowell and daughter Rainey Qualley for the film Mighty Fine, written and directed by Debbie Goodstein. This audio contains the full interview from that press day. For more information on Mighty Fine, which opens in theaters Friday, May 25th, please visit mightyfine-themovie.com.
This is your first movie, so how was it working with your mom?
It was great. I think we had a very professional relationship during filming in that my mom gave me a lot of space to figure things out for myself, but she was definitely there for me when I needed any guidance. And Chaz as well, I felt, really took me under his wing during the film and sort of gave me advice and showed me the ropes and just things that I wouldn't know having just taken acting classes, what you just learned by doing it. And he was very generous in that way. But
how long did you have you been acting, and when did you decide to become an actress?
I think I decided to become an actress when I was like 5. But
she kept telling me, but I thought it was just a kid talking. I didn't let her, but she's been dancing.
I started dancing when I was 2, and I sing, and both of my parents are very creative, so I've been involved in the arts basically my whole life. And I studied acting for 2 years in New York, and I studied in London for a summer at RADA, and sort of just went right out of school. As I was finishing my acting training, I booked this movie, so I got to go straight into filming, which was amazing.
The best education of all. Absolutely.
What advice do you give to Rainey, Andie, about success in Hollywood, especially as it relates to being a female? Because it's slightly different for men than it is for women, so what advice do you give her?
Well, I've given her all kinds of advice, but yeah, I told her, well, one thing I've told her, but not, I don't want her to focus on it too much because you can't doubt yourself by any means, but I always told her never be desperate and have another idea, like way back in the back of your head if things don't pan out. But yet, it's a very vulnerable place, and you're going to have, as an actor, you're never secure. Most actors are insecure because it's a very insecure business. And it's learning how to kind of roll with the punches, never taking anything too serious or personal. You never know what the judgment is. It's not always necessarily about the quality of the work. It could be just the way you look.
And another thing, I have a tendency to be shy and very reserved, so she tells me to be confident and believe in myself. And
learn, and you have to learn those skills. Like, these are great skills for her, just learning how to, do this. It's all skills, but you have to learn how to do it. You can't expect to just miraculously know how to do it. And the funny thing is a lot of confident people make it because confidence, when you exude confidence, you create confidence in other people. But if someone can't be confident just by saying, be confident, you have to pull that up from somewhere. You have to find it. You have to find your confidence. And, it's easier said than done. I think one of the best things I've told her, you're going to ask a question.
Oh, please.
But each audition is not so much about securing a job, because the audition is about creating an energy within the person that you're auditioning for that they will remember. They go, wow, she's good. So an audition is not so much about getting the job. It's about convincing the person that you're good.
Okay.
Given that this was your first feature film, how was your experience of creating your character, getting to her headspace and relating to her, and also creating that sisterly dynamic with Jodelle?
Well, before we started filming, I worked with an acting coach for like 2 weeks in New York before I went down to New Orleans. And also, having come straight out of training, I've had, plenty of techniques to draw upon to try to get into character and make it real for myself. And then as far as creating a bond with Jodelle and with the rest of the family, one of the first things we did when we got to New Orleans was Chaz took us all out to lunch and tried to get to know each other, and then from then on, just spending time with each other. On and off set, and Jodelle is a sweetheart, so it wasn't hard to feel friendly with her at all. And I have a younger sister myself, so just, drawing on that relationship.
The singing voice you have is amazing.
Thank you.
And I'm surprised it hasn't been publicized as much as I would think it should be. Talk about that a little bit. Where did you get the pipes?
Well, I just love to sing, and my dad's musical, and my mom, her mother was a piano player, so she's
Music major, yeah.
Yeah, she's musical as well. So, I don't know, I guess growing up, I think my dad's family, they were known as the singing Qualleys because they all sang, I guess. So it's in the genes, I suppose. And I just love singing, so.
Andy,
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you about learning how to do the accent that you did
Mm-hmm.
and how difficult that was. And it came across so naturally.
Oh, thank you. I worked with Sam Swat, who died this past year. He's a very well-known dialect coach in New York. And I had worked with him many, many moons ago. And he broke it down. He broke all the sounds down. So I had notes, and I was breaking all the sounds down. But it was that process, I think, can stunt it sometimes. And then you have to, find your rhythm. And the person that really helped me the most in the end was a combination of knowing this technique of what sounds I needed to change, but working with a Polish woman. I found this Polish woman in my town that's an actor, and she had been in America just the same amount of time that Stella had. So she had enough of a mixture of an Americanized Polish accent. And I worked with her, and that was the easiest way to go about it, because I could listen to the rhythm, and she was really feminine, so it was interesting too, because I walked in, I was like, oh my God, this woman, and she had just gone through this terrible divorce, and she was telling me about the dynamics of her relationship and everything. I was like, oh my God, it's the same woman. So it was perfect for me, because it was just the way she talked and the way she moved and everything. I was like, oh, I'm stealing this woman right now. I'm just going to take her. And it really did help. And I had it, whenever I was lost, I would always go back to that. I would always go back to her and listen to her. That was kind of how kept my focus.
Did you have as much time to prepare for the character as you did for the accent? Because it seems like it was a pretty difficult accent. Didn't seem like an easy one.
It was hard.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a lot of time. And if it hadn't been for this woman, I don't know what I would have done. She really saved me. And it was not only the accent, but it was her. She was very vulnerable. And when I spent time with her, I just was like, oh my God, it's the woman. That's really who she is. And so I just paid attention to how she talked and how she acted and the way she moved. And so I just kind of stole her.
What's your name?
What was her name?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I'd have to look back.
Okay.
And then I can find out. It's been a couple of years. I think it's Ava, but I can't remember her last name. But believe it or not, she was originally from Chicago. She lived in Asheville, North Carolina. Oh, wait, she's Polish, but she had been in Chicago. She had just moved to Asheville.
How'd you find her?
I asked. In Asheville's a very artsy community. There's a lot of retirees from the business there.
Oh.
A lot of good writers and people in the business that are retiring in Asheville. It's like the new place to go.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of people in the business that are there.
Did you meet with Debbie in terms of talking about her family experience, or was it just more toward the script, or did she take you through some of since it's loosely based on her upbringing, did she kind of take you to some of those emotional places before scenes, or was it mostly just really based on what was on page?
It's a mixture.
Oh, okay.
Because it was truthful and honest, and it was her history, but as also she had some creative licenses as far as a writer and what the story was, and though there were certain things that she was dead set to stick to, that she was very adamant and didn't want to change, there were other instances where she felt there was more flexibility, and I think it was important to her, the whole Holocaust thing. That was the fact that she had gone through this experience of having to be hidden, and that was pertinent for her and important.
And I just remembered too that I was playing the role of her sister, in in her family dynamic. And in my audition, her sister was in the room. So I was thinking, well, I hope she likes me.
I guess she did.
Yeah, I guess so.
How long did it take to shoot the movie altogether?
We only had 18 days.
18 days?
18 days, yeah. It was not an easy process. And the last night was hell. The last night was a living hell. She got a really good taste of what an independent movie is like because she had really, truly experienced independence.
May have been hell for you, but it was exciting for me.
It was exciting. It's true. But, well, at 1:30 in the morning, they wanted to break for second meal. And
because we were working like a 20-hour day because we had to finish the movie that day. Or
that was it.
So.
We had that day.
Oh my goodness.
And we were cut off.
Wow.
And they had not done the scene, the bedroom scene with me and Chaz yet. And I was asking the DP and the crew, I was like, what? We're gonna break for an hour? I'll die. I can't come back 2:30 in the morning after eating. I'll die. There's no way I can do this. And I said, do you want to eat? And they said, believe me, it's not our idea. We want to finish the movie. We're tired. We don't want to eat. They would rather just like do, I forget the term, but when you just eat on the run, kind of the European way, just grab something and keep going. But there's a penalty. There's a meal penalty involved where, the movie production would have to pay the penalty. And so that's what it was all about. They don't want to pay the penalty. So I'm like, how much money are we talking about here? I said, we got to finish this. We need to finish the movie. How much money are we talking about? And it was so funny because earlier that night, Chaz said, I had the feeling that somebody's going to lose it tonight. And he goes, no, I have the feeling it's going to be you. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he predicted it. And I wasn't even, as it was all happening, I didn't even remember what he had said until the next day. I was like, oh my God, how did he know? And it was, it was 1:30 in the morning. I was like, we're not breaking. We're not breaking. We have a choice here.
We can finish the movie or we can eat a meal.
Yeah, that's what I said. We can finish the movie or we can eat. What do you want to do? What do you want to do here? Because we can't do both. And everybody was like, the crew was so relieved. And I think they ended up forfeiting their money because they were just like, okay, let's just finish the movie. For God's sake, at this point. Just get it done.
How can you work that hard and look so good on screen?
Oh, that's sweet. Well,
Makeup.
Thank you. Makeup, lighting. Yeah, makeup, lighting. But it's sort of like you get in this. It's interesting because when you work on a movie, the good news is eventually it's going to be over. So it's like you get in this thing where you go, I have to just do it for this long, and then it's done. So everything is scheduled down to the minute.
But it's also very enjoyable.
It is enjoyable.
It's not like...
It's an addiction, what can I say? Total addiction, a complete and utter addiction
It is,
of
it's
creative
hard work.
energy. It's hard work,
but
but everybody is obviously addicted to it because they keep doing it.
Right.
They keep doing it again and again and again. But you do sort of like get in this idea of everything is down, precisely done, like down to the fact that, you have X amount of time to go to the bathroom and take a bath, and then you have X amount of time to put on your pajamas and get into bed. You got to read for 5 minutes and go to sleep, and you have X amount of time to sleep, and then you get up, and then you go. And that's it. That's all you do. You do nothing else.
Can you talk about anything that you're going to be doing? What's next?
I just moved out here a couple months ago with my boyfriend, who actually plays my boyfriend in the movie.
I had a great companion up for the first week on the film, and then I lost it. No companionship. And still, but it's been he's a really great guy.
So we both just moved out here, and we're auditioning and trying to make good connections, and I sing and write music, and we're just working hard and trying to make it.
But the last, you knew that, the song. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. She has an amazing voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, she auditioned for something the other day, and people were like, why aren't you recording? But
I had
she's
to
working
sing in
on
the
it.
audition.
Yeah,
That's fine.
that's what I meant. She was singing the audition.
Andy, with a lot of your prior roles, they were more headstrong women, and with Stella, she was more passive. What was it about her character that attracted you to it? She was very,
Well, it's
pensive.
it's a beautiful story. It's an intensely hard, beautiful story, and I grew up in a very dysfunctional family. My mother was manic depressive, so it's something that I'm familiar with. And I thought the script was great. And it was a really, really good to get to work with Jazz. That was just icing on the cake, because at the time I was talking to Debbie about it, I didn't know, and then strangely freaky how we ended up running into the casting director at a play, and they hadn't found Maddie, and they said, well, we'd like to look at Rainey. I was like, oh, okay. And then it was like, no promises. You either do they choose you or not, but they want to see you. And she was like, great. And she did an amazing audition. So it was just like all these little things just kind of fell into place. Mm-hmm. And so it was, it was a really good experience.
I thought it was really interesting how Maddie and Natalie have two distinct ways of dealing with the father. And when Maddie runs away, Natalie says that she's not as strong as her. But do you feel that the two sisters, well, which one do you feel is the stronger of the two? Or are they both strong in different ways?
I'd say they're definitely strong in different ways. I think Maddie is the most brave in a way, because she's the only one that will stand up to her father. But it takes strength to be nice when you feel like being mean, which is in a lot of ways what I think Natalie does throughout the movie. So
she was manipulated too by her dad, like made her feel special quite often. And
So how did you prepare for those scenes where it was going to be sort of a dark turn, and especially if you're doing, an 18-day shoot and you're pressed for time, where do you go as an actor to prepare, like emotionally? If you're going to, suppose you have to walk on eggshells around Chaz's character, what do you do to kind of prepare to go to that place?
I think it's a combination of having a creative mind. My mind's so ridiculously creative. It's not funny, and I think it's a combination of that, a great imagination, and life experience, technique. But I would say mostly a combination of, like I said, my mother was manic depressive. It's not something I am very familiar with this. I grew up in a dysfunctional, codependent house. So that's a lot to draw from there, and highly intense imaginative mind.
Another feather in your cap that you had recently was presenting, or being at the Golden Globes.
yeah.
I read a story, I guess before it happened, saying, and you had said that you were nervous about tripping or anything. So now, in retrospect, how was the experience, and did you manage not to trip?
I didn't trip, thank goodness. It was a wonderful experience, a whirlwind of a night. Just basically meeting every famous person in Hollywood. I'm so glad I was able to do it.
So someone told me it's like hoarding cats, Yeah, because quite often it was like watching you. You've got these really powerful and famous people, and they don't know who she is, and you have this, sweet girl behind them trying to get them to go in the right direction.
The hardest part was everyone.
It was funny watching because they would ignore you quite often, completely.
I would
sort of see you. Once in a while, someone would actually connect with you, but the majority of people, they were just sort of
comes up there and they're so overwhelmed that they just won a Golden Globe, and they're looking out at everyone like, oh geez, this is exciting. And I have to try to, and gosh, it was the hardest when there would be big groups, like the whole cast of Modern Family came on. It's just me. That's to wrangle them off stage. Okay, here we go. So all right, guys, it's this way. But I mean, it was awesome.
And very polite, and they always wanted to keep going in the back.
Yeah.
And you'd be like,
just right up here, right to the front. And you'd think, halfway through the show, maybe people would pick up, okay, if I win, go off right there. Nope. Everyone just
the whole time, everyone wanted to go off that back way.
Did you think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they are shell-shocked from just having
definitely.
won? And
I think so, yeah.
And they're happy, and everybody drinks at the Golden Globes.
Of course, yes, they have alcohol there.
Probably drink it all of them.
Rainey, question for you. If you were to express how you wanted the public or your demographic to see you, how would that be? As an actress? Or singer, actress, yeah.
I'd like to be taken seriously as my own person, and I'm very thankful for having my mother, but I think it also holds me to a different standard than a lot of other young actresses, because I have to prove myself more than just any other person, because when I go into an audition, or if I book something, or if something happens because I've been working hard for it, people will always say, "Oh, she just got it because of her mom."
So let's say you proved yourself in this film, because you really did.
Thank you.
What else would you like to be known for?
I mean, I'd like to continue getting work and continue trying to do a good job. And
Any particular roles that you'd like to play?
I'd love to do some kind of like musical movie,
Okay.
because I love to sing. I've been dancing since I was 2, and I love to act. So combining those 3, I think, would be a dream job.
They don't make many movies like that anymore.
I know.
Musicals.
I grew
Unfortunately,
up. I grew up watching The Wizard of Oz. And,
Sure. I miss those movies.
So do I.
What about the stage? Do you have any desire to be on the stage?
Certainly, yeah. I
Yeah.
studied musical theater in college, and dance and acting.
And she's gotten really close.
Mm.
So I just, I'd love to do. I just want to work and be taken seriously as an actor.
So in keeping with that, Rainey, watching your mom have a successful career, what have you learned about what keeps a career afloat? Because you've been around the business probably your whole life, even if you haven't always been doing stuff, but you've seen it.
My mom works really hard, and a lot of people think that being an actor and, having the L'Oreal contract, it must be very glamorous all the time, but she's doing Jane by Design right now, and she'll wake up at 5 and come home at 12 at night, and she's exhausted, but she has to look great, and she works really hard. And I think if you're willing to work hard, then you'll have a good career. And it's the same, really, with any other career. If you work hard, you'll do well.
It does take a lot of hard work and preparation.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys done a lot of publicity for the film yet?
A little bit.
Not very much.
I went to it was at the Santa Barbara Film Festival, which I was able to go to. So we did some press there, but really this is like the biggest day so far.
So, but you don't really you don't really publicize that you're related. I mean, when I read the invitation to come here today, that was the first I knew. Didn't know it when I was watching the movie, all that. Are you guys going to try to bring that about more when you're...
I think she probably doesn't want that at all. But
I don't want to go into an audition and have them immediately know, like, oh, it's Andie MacDowell's daughter. Let's see what she can do,
Or, I think it does kind of like make some kind of preconceived idea.
Sure.
Or it's not fresh, and I think it's good that she doesn't have my last name.
Yeah, exactly.
And you remind me of someone, like an actress, and I can't think who it is. I keep looking at you.
I get Jennifer Aniston sometimes.
You think?
I get Terry Garr sometimes.
I don't know who it is. No, that's not it either. Thank you.
I think there's one more question if she's allowed. I like to use the analogy of playing golf. One of the most important aspects of hitting a golf ball is knowing the pathway and where on the face of the club you're actually going to hit the ball, because that determines where the ball's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
So you've decided the pathway, right? And she has now made her face in Hollywood. Where exactly do you see both of you going together?
I don't think you can predict anything.
No?
That's the thing, but... Sorry.
Talk and take pictures.
But I'll tell you this, like, I keep trying to predict things. For instance, I thought that I wanted to live in North Carolina because I'd want to get old there. Guess what? I don't. I just moved here. And, it's good. Good job. So I don't know, it's like you can sit here and project whatever you want to project, but, I mean, you can project hopes, maybe. Like she's projecting the hope to work. It's that simple. It's like everybody always say, what kind of character do you want to play? I think it's really hard. And it's like, what do you say? And I always felt like I had to come up with something like, God, what am I going to say? Work? I don't know. What do you say? And it's not really like, for me, it's interesting. It's great scripts, working with good people. It's really that simple. And for her, it's the simple point. She wants to work. Anything. Give me a job. And that's it. That's the way really it is. And one job leads to another job, leads to another job. Hopefully. That's the way the game works. Right. If we were to fantasize, I could tell you, I got loads of fantasies. Who knows?
You got one?
Loads of fantasies. I have so many, it's ridiculous. Do I not? That's what I said in my mind. Will not hush. I do a lot of yoga because I have to tell it to shut up. But, you know, I'm constantly, the imagination is just going all over the place.
Can I take
I'd
a
like
quick
to
shot
speak
off?
French. I'd like to live in France. I'd like to work in
Okay,
France.
so
We're
much.
going to
Bring
work in
Chaz in right
Spain. We're going to live in
Thank you.
Spain. We're going to
One
speak
more.
Spanish.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There goes one, right?
Thanks
That's
again.
just one. It's constantly, you know,
great.
Thank you, you
creative
were great.
ideas
Thank
of
you,
every
guys.
Thank
So
you,
nice
Sam.
meeting you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Best of luck going
Thank
forward.
Thank you.
Thank you again.